بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ولا يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بارك رسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة محمد بن عبد الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to be still alive. For if it were not that we still have the favor of being with life, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be among those who have the chance to add on our good deeds and perhaps even decrease on the mistakes that we have on our mizan. May Allah's peace and blessings be descended upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for he endeavored too much to see to it that we have the Islam that we are enjoying to this generation. It is Monday, the 16th day of Shaban, 1445, and the 26th day of February, 2024. We are really on the countdown to getting to Ramadan, and approximately we could be having around 13 days to have Ramadan just at our door. So we should be among those that we should be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because just living from one Ramadan to another Ramadan, according to one of the traditions of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah expiates some kind of sins from you and me. So we should be praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to count among among those who live up to getting to this Ramadan. With this time that we are remaining with, we should be able to get prepared in terms of the spiritual, financially, if you have to plan your menu, things to do with people who are still indulging in shirk, that is spiritual side, should be living all that, so that by the time Ramadan gets in, we are able to kickstart Ramadan. People who have some kind of diseases that can stop you from observing the month of Ramadan, it is time that we get prepared so that by the time we get to the fast of Ramadan, we are able to fast that month. And the intention should be clear right out from now, that if Allah leaves you until Ramadan gets in, you should be able to fast it the whole month, inshallah ta'ala. Having said that, we are in this Alhidaayah show, a demand edition, and within this program, we run a number of series to do with Islam and science, and we have been able to cover a number of aspects, some of which if you could have missed, I just encourage you to go to our Salam TV YouTube channel, and you can be able to retrieve them and go through and update yourself for those that you have missed. We started on something to do with scientific miracles of Allah's creation, and we are on a component that is to do with the body defense mechanism. Technically, you can call the body immunity, and it's something that we tackled in some program previously, and today we hope to continue with that kind of aspect. This evening, I will be your host, Brother Menya Ayub, and in the studio I have my brother Hamza Sekalima, who will be conducting with me this program. Allow me to invite him to say some greetings to you, then we will be able to commence right away in our program. Brother Hamza, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the gift of life. For those of us that understand the importance of life, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to you as a chance. If you are among the muhsinin, then you have a chance to make your situation better. If you had a Jannah grade 1, you can make it grade 2, grade 3 just by being alive, because you'll do adhkar, you can do sadaqah, you can do so many things. And for the ones that commit sins, we know very well that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yaghfiru dhunuba jamia. So at any time you say the istighfar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can forgive you. So you'll flip from being a person that is categorized as sinful to one that is a candidate of Jannah just by being alive. So we have to thank Allah always for that. And for all these shows where we try to elucidate upon the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially within ourselves, because the ayah tells us wa fi anfusikum afala tubsirun, meaning look even at yourself. You don't need to look at the trees, the mountains and all the other signs, but even you yourself, you are already a very big sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like the immune system we are going to be looking at, inshallah, in the next few minutes.
No, barakallahu fikum, jazakumullahu khair. In the studio, we are having our brother, as you have seen. We are going to be conducting this program, but last time we met here on this program, we were looking at the very kind of aspect, what we would call the body defensive mechanism of, what we technically called the immune body system. Now, because time has elapsed, we need maybe to refresh the minds of the people who are viewing. In just simple terms, when we talk about the body immune system, exactly what are we meaning before we can go to the details?
Now, like we indicated last time, the human body has a system that protects it from the harmful things that surround us. Remember, Brother Ayub, we were opening the other time, we said that when a person is alive, even if he goes into a bush and sleeps there, and even falls asleep totally, that person will not have insects and other things entering into his nose or any of the other open parts. Yet the person is actually totally asleep and unable to even see what is going on. But once that individual dies, within a very short time, you begin to see all these creatures trying to enter into that body. So it means the human being is defended heavily. Otherwise, we wouldn't see this anomaly of once a person dies, a few minutes, and we begin to see all these things that would have already been entering this individual had they not been protected during their time in life. So therefore, our body is defended against harmful creatures and other things within the environment that could harm us. And that entire system that provides that defensive layer is what we call the immune system, in simple terms.
Okay, thank you, Brother Sekai. Now, last time we kind of expounded on what constitutes the body defensive mechanism that we are talking about.
Yes.
I think just in the interest of time, for people who are viewing, and for those who were not around, who were not viewing last time, we can have just a
simple recap.
A simple recap to do with what constitutes the body.
The human immune system. Now, one is the biggest part is what we call the white blood cells. The white blood cells are like the foot soldiers. In case you look at an army like the UPDF, the individual soldier with the gun is an example of what would be a white blood cell. So the final, so those ones are mainly for killing bacteria. Then remember we said they are also what we call antibodies. Their job is to look at incoming threats and design a defense mechanism. So those are what we call antibodies, and we saw that even testing of some diseases, we look at the antibodies. We don't hunt for example, the virus. We just say, what does the body do in order to respond to a certain virus X? It produces antibody this. So we simply look for the antibody, and it confirms that there is indeed the presence of that. Then we saw lymph nodes, which are part of the lymphatic system that distributes a defensive fluid within the body. Then we saw the spleen. It is within your abdomen. It helps to filter your blood and remove many of the dangerous things. Then we saw the bone marrow, which is the factory for the cells. We saw that. Then we saw the skin also. The skin is a very large organ. Actually, in biology, it's the biggest organ. Covers the entire body, but it is still regarded as one large organ. Then you also have the mucus. So all of these come together to deal with the various threats, and finally they form this large thing that we call our immune system.
Okay, thank you. I think for our viewers, you are up to speed. For those of you who never attended, who were not watching the previous program, you can be able to pick up right out from there. Now, this program we wanted to focus on if we have a defensive mechanism in the body, just like you can have an infiltration to either the security of Uganda or any other country. Sometimes it gets compromised, and you can have malfunctions of how the country should be moving. So does when it comes to our body defensive mechanism, it can be compromised, and we wanted to look at what can bring about the compromisation of this body immune system.
Okay, so in that case, we looked at a bit of disorders. Then we shall finally look at how we actually make our defense system better. Remember, we said you have all these very many components that form the immune system, but those components may not necessarily always work as expected. Because when we talk of these miracles, we want the person to also leave the comfort zone of thinking that these things are already put by Allah. There is nothing wrong that can go with them. Allah simply helps you when He allows your system to work normally. Otherwise, there are some anomalies. And we saw some of them like allergies. You are simply exposed to something, and the body responds in a very terrible way. Even just eating. You eat meat, the entire body swells, and it becomes a very painful area. So all those are signs that the body is responding in a very aggressive way to something that would not necessarily require an aggressive response. There are also autoimmune diseases. There is what we call rheumatoid arthritis. In that case, the body simply begins to attack its own cells. Remember, we said that for the body to be able to defend you, it must segregate between your normal cells and these germs and other dangerous cells that are coming from outside. But in some cases, you have a problem with your immune system in that it does not even differentiate. So when it attacks even your normal cells. And of course, the cells have a purpose. So if they are attacked, you now begin to face consequences. It's just like in case the army, the soldiers again started attacking themselves within the barracks, you'll really have a very big problem. Then we also saw things like cancer, where the cells are growing abnormally. All of these are some examples of these disorders that can cause your immune system to simply go offline. I think now we need to look at caring for this immune system, because if this is a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has given it to you with the purpose of keeping you alive and being healthy, then we need to know how we need to care about this. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, within the Sharia, we understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you two things. You have the soul, then He also gives you this body here. The soul simply changes forms, but for it, it never dies. The same soul that you have within your mother's womb is the same soul you live with in the life of the dunya. It is the same soul that you have in the barzakh and also in the akhirah. So in that case, therefore, you need to to realize that that is one part. Then the body is that vessel that Allah entrusts you with to use within the life of this world. So we are not permitted to inflict harm on our bodies thinking that this is now yours. It is not necessarily yours. You have been lent this body by Allah. Use this.
Being entrusted.
So you have been entrusted with this vessel. You have been told, keep it, live with it, and in the akhirah, essentially you'll transform into a different being. So therefore, we need to care even about the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in our bodies as our defense system. So caring, number one, is eating in a healthy way. Now, unfortunately, here in Africa, we tend not to eat with the near of keeping ourselves alive and well. The main purpose seems to be more of entertainment. That's why one goes to an event, eats like 10 different kinds of items just because they were there. Because the one cooking, yes, they cook everything, but possibly they are not expecting that one will traverse the entire area.
Because there are people who say that they have international stomachs.
They can chew anything.
So anything that crosses their way.
So healthy is in two forms. You have a healthy in terms of the item itself, then health in terms of the quantity. You may be eating something that is originally regarded as healthy, but you are eating it in very absurd quantities, and in the end, you are becoming a bit of a problem. So the recommendation here is fruits. Those ones are very good. The reason simply being that they are digested very fast and they go into the body, so they tend not to lag behind and cause problems. Yet they have all these boosting factors for our defense system. Then you have vegetables, all those greens and things that we tend to sometimes underlook. They are very important in boosting and keeping you as an animal.
Me, I would think these vegetables are for,
for the low people. No, they are not. Actually, they are very important in boosting your immune system. So don't look at it just like I said in the initial part. People look at eating here in Africa as two things: entertainment and a show of status. But eating is a responsibility within the Sharia, in that you're keeping yourself alive. Why do you think we say Bismillah when we start to eat and we are rewarded for eating? You are solving a hunger problem, but at the same time Allah is rewarding you. The reason simply being that that act is a commitment to keep yourself alive and well. So in that case, therefore, you need to be rewarded. So let's not abandon very healthy and good food simply because we think that we are downgrading ourselves. That dodo you are underlooking, that all those greens, the cabbages and the others, please utilize that chance and eat them in very good quantities. They do a lot in making sure that your body is well defended. Then of course, there are all those fruits that carry vitamins and other things. They are very important. The second way of boosting your immune system, keeping it alive, ensuring that it also protects you, is also exercise. And interestingly, exercise is supposed to be a daily routine. I think for us, the one who is very vigilant does it a few days in a week. Otherwise, some simply pull off a totally docile life, no exercise whatsoever. And in some cases, we worsen the situation. You are working, for example, in a sitting job like a bank. At the same time, you have got enough resources, you've got yourself a car. So you are now essentially...
And as you are moving, maybe in your environment, working environment, you have an AC, and in your car,
So essentially, your entire life does not involve any kind of serious body activity. You don't walk any serious amount of walking. You are always sitting. In fact, there are some medical commentators that say sitting is actually some kind of drug for us in this current generation of ours, because in the past the majority of jobs involved some kind of physical exercise. It involves you moving in a way. So these jobs that involve sitting for extremely long hours, imagine for us in the programming domain, you essentially need this only. And in some cases you sit, and because
you lock yourself in a room.
And because the work is brain intensive, you tend to sit for long hours, not even looking at the time. For us the Muslims, of course, you are compelled to look at the time because you have to go and do your swala. So it is a way that saves us from oversitting. But for the ones that don't do those routine activities, a person can sit for 12 hours flat because they are doing something that is on deadline. It is very difficult. It requires a lot of concentration. One can even forget about the day. But that sitting there keeps the body totally docile and unable to use even some of the things you are eating. Unfortunately, we combine the two. You are sitting too much, you are getting bored, and because of that, you are eating. So you are worsening the whole situation. If at least you were sitting but not eating, then in that case the body would at least be utilizing whatever you ate in the morning, and as time goes by, somehow it reduces. But if you are again continuously eating, it adds on to the problem. So a daily exercise routine is very important. What's the minimum?
They recommend around 30 minutes.
So they recommend 30 minutes of what we call aerobics. Aerobics means that the heartbeat should increase so that the body is forced to utilize more resources than what it utilizes under normal conditions. So that is something very important. Let's try to use it. And of course, the exercises do vary depending on your age. You don't do a lot of running when you are in an advanced age. Just walk very fast. The body will get the exercise it needs without necessarily damaging itself. So that's something that is very important. Then, connected to the eating bit, keep a weight that is healthy. So the biologists have what is called a body mass index. How do we get body mass index? There you. We get
your weight out of I think
so
your height.
Your weight in terms of what? Kilos?
In kilograms.
Divided by your height in meters. So that ratio there, they are saying the maximum is 30 for one to be healthy. Meaning once you get your weight in kilograms, divide it by your height in meters, you, for as long as you are 30 and of course I think there is also the negative one where you are underweight. Yeah. So you don't again over observe weight reduction and you become underweight. It's also not good. So 30 is the baseline. You go beyond 30 in that ratio of body weight in kg divided by height, then in that case you become now obese. Once you become obese, it means the body is no longer working in its original form. It is overloaded with all this additional weight, and it begins to affect your immune system. The immunity goes down and you become a bit of a problem. Usually the solution for these ones, in case you are overweight, you just do exercises, because the overweightness comes from the body storing all the food you have been eating just there because it's not utilizing it. So if you can just do exercises, which was the earlier recommendation, then you should be able to get into good shape.
With, there is usually when people want to reduce weight, they usually run to exercise. It is something that is myth at times. You know, exercises increase one's appetite for food.
So you
so you have to combine two. As you do exercise a lot, you should keep a lot of caution on what you take. Otherwise, if you are continuing to do a lot of exercise, it will increase your appetite and you eat more.
So you'll end up with the risk compensation. You went to do physical exercises. Yes, the body even destroyed the fats that you had. Then you went and ate even beyond what we are having here. By the way, that's a very important something to note, because there are people that go into exercise, they go and do a lot of gym work, but when they come out, they declare war on food. Same thing with the issue of fasting, which we tend to have in Ramadan. A person fasts the whole day, which is very healthy. The body has cleaned itself. Then he holds a very nearly animal grade iftar, and in the end, he cancels out all the good things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given for us. So keeping your body healthy, your weight within the acceptable limits is something that you need to do in order to keep your immune system working fine. That immune system that Allah gave you to protect you, please protect it by simply keeping a good weight. Then the other one is about sleep. Now, sleeping is a way in which our body rests and resets itself, just like these computers. You see them here. If you keep it on for a very long time, it begins to degrade, because it's not designed to just be on and on. There are special ones that are called the servers that are designed to be on and on. For them, they are not degraded. They have a special way in which they are designed. So even that body of yours is designed to sleep in order to rest, and even for the brain in order to organize. Because you see, as you live your day, you see a lot of things, you read books, that content you go through within the day, it is not stored into permanent location by the brain immediately. The brain does that work during the time when you are asleep. So it rearranges the things and partitions them and finally stores them in a way that you can remember for very long times. Now, unfortunately, in our generation here, people see sleep more as a liability. There's one individual that told us, for him, in order to manage his businesses, he wakes up at 3 a.m. and returns around 12 midnight. That one is extremely radical obsession with looking for money, and I don't think a serious person should be doing something like that. If your business empire forces you into a 3-hour sleep cycle, that one is not a healthy business empire. Either the business itself is not even correct, or you are managing it in a wrong way. There are those, let me do it myself. Even something that the accountant would have done, he wants to do it. He thinks the accountant is going to steal money. Something the store manager would have done, he thinks the store manager is going to steal it. Everything is rotating about the negative psychology of someone will steal my property, and in the end they damage themselves. Sleeping, very important. Unfortunately, some of our schools damage our children by excessive teaching. The children are going to bed at midnight. They are being awoken at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. to resume another activity congested day. That one is not allowing these people that are in a learning environment to concretize the knowledge they are having and to rest, something that boosts their immune system. That is something that
we are going for a short commercial break, but that is a very pertinent kind of issue. One, when we come back from a short commercial break, we would wish to know what is the recommended time one should be having as a rest. Then two, what is embedded scientifically in the issue of having enough rest. When we come back from a short commercial break, we will be picking up right from there, inshallah.
Eno ye Salam TV.
Fred! Osmosis. Freddy! Fred Dollar, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the Nile.
Era sina sente.
Mpola emitwala biri njera kujuzawo kaduka kange. The signs and symptoms of success, the bank commander, not the bank teller.
Lwaki okalubirizibwa okufuna loan ng'olina MTN Momo? Weesootinge! Kozesa Momo app omanyiga *555*5 okufuna looni ey'amangu. Londako looni ekukolera okuva mu looni ez'ebika eby'enjawulo eziva mu bannaffe be tukolagana nabo. Nga tuli wamu tewali kitulema.
Malaria is preventable and treatable, but it remains the leading cause of death in Uganda. And 80% of these deaths are children under 5 years. Zero malaria starts with me, in my family, in my community, through prevention measures such as proper and consistent use of mosquito nets. This message is brought to you by Ministry of Health in partnership with Malaria Free Uganda, EcoBank, Speak Up Africa, and NBS TV.
Abasiramu mwenna mu ggwanga ng'ennaku z'omwezi mwenda ogwokusatu 2024 ng'ebula ennaku 2 z'okwokuyingira omwezi gwa Ramadan, Dusman's Dawa Initiative lwegenda okutuusaako Ramadan Charity Run ey'omwaka 2024. N'olwekyo abantu mwenna muyitibwa okujja okwetaba misinde gino nga kino kigendereddwamu okuliisa abasiramu abateesobola mu bitundu by'e Kampala n'ekibuga kya Arua. N'olwekyo mu mwezi guno omutukuvu ogwa Ramadan beera ensonga nga tusibula abasiramu bannaffe abateesobola. Emisinde gino gya kutandikira ku poliisi y'Ekibuli. Olina okukola gula kiti yo katikati okuva ku Coach Towers opposite CPS, ku muzikiti gwa Gaddafi ku Old Kampala, ku muzikiti gwe Nakasero ne ku muzikiti ya Kibuli. Osobola okugula silver ku mitwalo 2.5, gold ku mitwalo 4.5, ate platinum ku mitwalo 7.5. Nawe atasobole kudduka osobola okuwagira ng'ogula kit ng'oyita ku namba zino 0788 68 85 12 ne 0759 72 21 66. Twegattire wamu tudduke emisinde gya 2024 Ramadan Charity Run nga bwe tweyolera empeera.
Eno ye Salam TV.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. We just have to remind you that you are on Alhidaayah show, this Monday edition where we focus majorly on Islam and science, and this day we are focusing on the body immune system. Of course, we have been able to discuss a number of good things in the previous episode and previous kind of 30 minutes. And before we went for a short commercial break, I posed the question to Brother Hamza: what is the recommended time for sleeping? And as somebody who is going to sleep for the time of, he will be telling us scientifically what will be happening to this body that is having that kind of enough rest. So Brother Hamza, we start with what is the recommended time for sleep in terms of hours?
Now, we have seen other factors, things like exercise and etc. The doctors here are recommending that even if you are doing the other two very well, you are eating well, you are exercising, just cutting on your sleep and not having enough can cancel out the entire benefit you are getting from the other two. So people should not look at sleep as some kind of time wasting. And Allah even talks of it, وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks of something in the Quran and he talks of it as a sign from him, he's not playing. He's talking of that now as a sign from him. So we should not be looking at it in a joking way. Now, recommended sleep durations. Adults, 65 and above, 8 hours. African may say banang. Adults 26 to 64 years, between 7 and 8 hours. Teenagers, 14 to 17 years, very interesting. 8 to 10 hours.
8 to 10.
To 10. Now you'll find our teenagers instead sleeping 1 hour with all these smartphones we keep giving them.
And we have series on.
People are always watching things. They don't know that they are impacting. The school children, whom we are also now subject to have very heavy digital content time, those ones, 6 to 13, need to sleep between 9 and 11 hours. So you can see that as the age goes down, the sleep duration is supposed to be way bigger, but now digital tools are impacting very much on this. Toddlers, no, preschool, 3 to 5 years, 10 to 13 hours. Toddlers, 1 to 2 years, 11 to 14 hours they should be sleeping. The infants from 4 to 11 months need to sleep between 12 to 15 hours. The newborns, the newborns from 0 to 3 months should sleep for 14 to 17 hours. You see that one? They should nearly be always sleeping. Now, we've brought this sleep as an issue related with the immune system. You play around with your sleep, you are going to damage your immune system. But there are other very negative things that come from not sleeping. And a few things are mentioned here. We may just go over them for purposes of being aware, because sleep is something totally neglected. Interestingly, I think the Americans even have entire societies dedicated to the issue of sleep. You know, a society of professionals. And their only thing is research and the dissemination of information about.
I've heard, I think in China, how they have a break, especially just like in Islam, it is recommended to have kailula. For them, even if you are at a workstation, you have a break to sleep.
And no one will touch you during that break. It is part of.
So somebody refreshes within that moment.
And we are talking of these hours. They don't need to be like in one block, because in some cases we make the mistake of thinking that when we say 8 hours, we mean find that block of continuous 8 hours. No, they can be separated into smaller blocks as long as the total is 8. And interestingly, the body keeps its ledger of the hours you are sleeping. You must complete the 8 hours. You fool around, you don't complete, it becomes a negative. You'll have to pay for it.
There is always a way where body will compensate. Just imagine when you go to sleep late, usually many times somebody will sleep even past Subuyan.
Because you are thinking you are cheating the body, but the body is the one in charge of you. You are not the one in charge of it, and it will force. But in case there is no, it does not force you, you remain with the negative impacts. Some of them are lack of alertness. You spent the entire night not sleeping, the day becomes useless. A small task of 5 minutes, you take 30 minutes. You can't even sit and focus. That lack of alertness. Then there is also excessive daytime sleepiness. Theoretically, we expect that the day is supposed to be work time. Surah An-Naba, وَجَعَلْنَا
نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا.
That one is for the night. Nahara ma'asha. So you can see Allah is relating Nahara with which is the daytime, with the work, being active.
Looking for something of sustenance.
You waste all you spend a lot of time not sleeping, your ma'asha becomes a problem. You begin to doze during the time of day. So you will end up wasting this entire day dozing around, not concentrating, yet you would have slept. And indeed, the healthy society, like you said, the Chinese, they simply sleep for 1 hour and wake up ready to do the things that would have taken you the 4 or 5 hours of that lousy, unfocused state. You can do them in just 30 minutes or even 20 minutes. sleepiness becomes a problem. The other very bad one is impaired memory. You'll begin to lose your capacity to remember things in case you are not allowing your brain to rest. Because remember, we said this brain of yours keeps collecting things during the day. Once you sleep, it now begins to reorganize them into very clear, logical memory locations, and if you prevent it, then it becomes a bit of a problem. They are even saying that the business of not sleeping can now begin to impact your relationships. You'll begin to feel moody because that body of yours is an automated system. You deny it one thing, it also cancels out some other services. So a person that would be relaxed and in a good state is now stressed and is beginning to affect the other people. Then, of course, there is the issue of car accidents. How many accidents have occurred because some person was sleeping?
And in a car, it's just 1 to 2 seconds.
Just 2 seconds, you are off the lane, you begin to antagonize others. So all of these are dangers that come out of not sleeping. And in the name of looking for money. But in a country like Uganda, really how much money can you gather? Because the country itself, if you put it on the scale of rich people in the world, it is among the poor ones. So inside the poor container, you will not work and get really that kind of wealth that we are talking of, which is at a global scale. You will only be able to get this small comparative wealth that we have here, which is something not good. So sleeping, we are saying, is a very important treatment for your immune system, and we have talked of so many other benefits. So
and
please,
scientifically, from what I've gotten to know, is that during the time of sleep, it is when our cells get repaired. So meaning if you have any kind of impairment and anything like that, if you don't allow your body to have enough rest, then the cells will continue degenerating, and what happens to somebody that will just grow old so fast. If you have any kind of ailment, it will not, you will not get better and things like those. So you need to have enough rest so that we can have body to reset itself, as you put it.
the other booster, sleep, we have seen it. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the capacity to sleep enough. How many hours do you sleep in a day?
Around approximately 4 to 5.
I think
at most 5.
I think I'm also in that area of 4 to 5. Very unhealthy, because the recommended is 8. You are using a half. You may, by some luck, try to focus, but the truth is your body has a certain design and its requirements have to be met. We just pray that Allah will make us use our time more productively, because sometimes these stretches that we do, they are the ones that even prevent us from being productive. Something of 1 hour, we do it in 3 hours, so you end up always failing to meet deadlines. The work piles up, you end up increasing your work time, yet in actual sense what is preventing you from being effective is not sleeping enough. The other booster is vaccines. Remember, vaccines are essentially a downgraded version of an illness that makes the body to respond in a way that would fit the actual virus, or usually viruses are the ones we get vaccines for. Meaning your body is given a downgraded form of the virus, then the body now builds the immune system that is supposed to respond to it, and it stays within the body. So in case you are attacked by the actual live virus, it finds when the body is already prepared, so you are able to combat the disease in a better way. Of course, the viruses do have issues of conspiracy theory, where some think these immunization things are essentially designed for the Africans, right? Reduce our number, etc. Of course, we may not have a lot of factual information, but for us, we are saying you can boost your immunity by adding on to your defense layer via vaccines. The theory of vaccines is very clear. And if it is followed, we expect that a positive result should come out of it. The other controversies of these ones are trying to eliminate these ones. There is no race anywhere in the world that will ever succeed in eliminating another race. These races you see here are designed and put by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into this world, and is the one responsible for their being around. One may attempt to kill. The Second World War, what is the total death numbers? How many millions? Just some countries, I think, is it 55 million? Countries are like Russia, they lost how many? But still people are there. You don't even imagine that they have ever lost.
But one would argue that
large number
we have we got documented instances where some races were exterminated.
Totally.
Things to do with the Red Indians in America.
But they are there.
And the Aborigines in Australia.
They are still there. No one should deceive you that anyone ever exterminated those Indians. They are there. Actually, they call them Native Americans. And they are there in a big number. Now you realize that some races don't grow very fast in number due to possibly their social systems and etc. So you may find they don't become so numerous as some of these other races that have become more advanced. For example, the population of a region like Karamoja, you will see it as if it is not really very big, possibly because of the nomadic nature and etc. So you may find, you may not imagine that someone is actually intentionally reducing the number of the Karimojong. No, they are not producing at a very fast rate compared to these other tribes that live a more modern lifestyle that usually results in people producing way bigger numbers. So generally, what you can do is protect yourself by adding on to your defense with a layer. But the better and the more productive ways are the ones we have seen above. Use your natural means as much as possible, because those ones work within what the body has been designed to work with, so they don't have any negative effects, and yet they have a lot of benefits. The last one they talk of here is the issue of smoking. Avoid smoking, or avoid and all the products that come out of that business of smoking. The good thing here in Uganda, somehow the government declared a silent war on that smoking until it's no longer really a very big issue. Of course, there are some who smoke, but compared to the time for us we grew up in the 90s, in the 90s, it was fashionable to smoke, and everyone was just smoking around as if it is some very positive thing.
I think yes, maybe there was some campaign that was very positive in terms of raising the voices against it, and even what they call the fiscal policies and the taxes. So they raised a lot of taxes on things to do with cigarette and the like, even including restricting importation and the like. But of course, some people are still adamant and they are abusing the kind of words and whatever. But anyhow, in Uganda we are a bit lucky for people who have traveled. You know very well how people can smoke in other countries. And
especially Asia. In fact, one documentary was saying countries like China, they call it a tobacco company's paradise. Essentially, everyone is busy smoking and the number of people is very big. But at least for us here, it's no longer even fashionable. Sometime back, a person would have that very brightly colored Marlboro or Sportsman, whatever. And can you believe, Allah, it is very interesting. Can you believe that those packet designs were seen to participate in promoting smoking by a very big percentage? People would start smoking merely because of that very beautiful looking package. So since he buys the thing, he now sees he has bought, so he starts to use. But his intention was originally admiring that very well designed. So in some countries they started by ordering the tobacco companies, you don't design, just put there your name at the bottom. No design, the thing is just white, so no one can be attracted to it, and slowly by slowly they weeded that very big vice out.
Disclaimers there.
So it is a very dangerous activity, and unfortunately you'll even find some not very serious Muslims doing this smoking business. And interestingly, they even try to justify their smoking using Sharia provisions. They claim that, no, this smoking is not haram, it is just makruh. Then you say, now, which nonsense makruh are you talking about? Makruh means something discouraged, something not good. So you can't say, no, they have not said illegal, they have said not good.
Not recommended.
Simply leave that business of smoking. One very interesting sheikh was saying, okay, you who claim that it is makruh, let's imagine you are in front of Allah. Your budget for smoking is there. You smoked maybe like 100 million throughout your lifestyle. Then they ask you to account for that business, the 100 million. Are you going to tell Allah that 100 million, what I did, I used to pull smoke into my body, then I exhale it. I would inhale the smoke, then exhale it. So that's the accountability you are making for the entire big amount of money. It would not be good. So smoking and all its very dangerous products, which we pray that we continue to avoid, like so many Ugandans have now chosen to do, is the last recommended booster of immunity. We are saying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this defense system, very effective. It keeps us alive, and we have compared the situation of a dead person, how they begin to decay very fast just because they no longer have any defense system. So that system that keeps you alive and you don't get sick from all these surrounding environments, keep it and protect it very well, because it's a sign, a very big sign and miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Now, barakallahu fikum. The discussion there has been quite informing. People, we are not doctors, we are not health workers, but you know, we get these discussions to tickle you, and for the medics, they can expound even more. For those that can be able to read the science books, science literature, you can also be able to go and even dig deeper and enrich yourself with this kind of information. And perhaps if you have any kind of chance to talk to other people, it can be even be better when you have enriched kind of knowledge. Brother Hamza, we have run short of time. We just ask you to say your closing remarks, inshallah.
Now, for our viewers, we remind you that this program is essentially to reactivate our focus on science and technology, the benefits, because we Muslims were the pioneers of this very good industry that has moved the world into nearly heavenly status. You go to some, of course, we in places like Uganda, where we just have a few miracles of engineering we may not appreciate, but there are countries where you look at one marvel after another, and all of these things come when people sit down, put focus, and they begin to innovate. So as other countries grow using just focus on science and technology, we are keeping ourselves behind. And that's the whole reason as to why we think we need to show people that science is not some very foreign thing that you should be afraid of. It is something that affects you on a day-to-day basis as a person, so you should have interest in it, put in the effort needed. And the good thing, the government now is providing facilitation for science teachers, and trying to encourage people to look at science not as some liability, but as a very important part of our development as a society. So let's learn, let's share ideas, let's participate in the growth of science and technology in our day-to-day lives. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Brother Sekaima, for those parting shots. Just also to add the word as Alhidaayah, we want to emphasize this issue of science so much, and that's why we dedicated a program specifically for this, so that people can be inspired. And we have more scientists who can either invent or innovate from what is already existing. And as a culture, to encourage sciences beyond having this program, we have some other initiatives, especially in the younger generation. We have an affiliate kind of a session that is called MSAC. And among the things that we encourage there is science, technology, and innovation. And we have an aspect to do with innovations, so that people are given a task to do some kind of innovation, and among the things that they compete in is that. So come that day, what we usually call the Ike, people usually exhibit the kind of innovations that they have done in their various schools. So if we continue this way, perhaps we can have scientists in the generations that shall come, inshallah ta'ala. With that, we shall have to end this program at this moment. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Eno ye Salam TV.
Abaluganda ekisibo kisembedde kibuzaayo akaseera